Hi, this is Jim Durkin. Welcome to the weekly Wednesday webinar on Impact. Today, we're going to focus just on the list view. What can the list view do for you? As you know, NativeAct has a list view, and we're looking at it now here. You go to the contact details view, or you go to a list view. And that happens with any set of records, a list inside of the contacts, or say a custom table. I'll go to mortgages, and we have a list of mortgages here. Let's go back to the contacts. Now this is Act's native view, so we want to click on the Enhance button and enhance it. Now this is our enhanced view. And what you see is we add a couple of controls down the bottom, which we'll go over in a couple minutes. And we have a new toolbar here. So let's just discuss what's happening, what you can do with this enhanced list view. Well, one thing up here is you have multiple layouts. Like I have a layout called Impact in here. I also have a layout called Default, and if I change that, you'll notice all my fields change. So I can actually customize a layout, and I can create a new layout, and I'll call it Demo. Or maybe I'll call this as like my Friday report layout. And I'm going to save that. And on my Friday report layout, I want the Company 2, Company 3 fields. I'm just picking out fields here. Donations, first purchased, last email, last sent. So I can actually have that as a layout for my Friday report. Maybe I just dump it to Excel, send it to the boss. But that's a layout here. But I don't use that every day of the week. So I can just switch back into my Impact layout, and there are my fields. Now, one of the things about the layout you'll notice here is that I can scroll left to right on this layout. Each layout is defaulted differently. Like this layout, I don't have it going back and forth. And in fact, what happens is if I add fields, let me just add a couple of fields. I don't really care which ones. You'll just get a sense of it. What the layout will do is it'll start squeezing things down. You see the way the company got smaller? That's because it's going to auto-size the layout. And if I right-click on the layout, column options, there's allow horizontal scrolling. So if I click on allow horizontal scrolling, that'll let me scroll left and right now. And you can also resize. So say if you resize a field this wide, you can see that you're still scrolling horizontally. And you may want to resize each one of these. So we have an option on here, column option, adjust columns to fit. So it takes an analysis of what's in each field and sees how wide it's going to be. So like here, ID status, it needed to make it that wide for that field, and so forth and so on. So as you can see, it did that for us automatically. And again, that's just by going back and forth. Here it is. It's very small, as we can see, the year-to-date company contact. If I right-click on it, I can say adjust columns, and then now you can see it's fit width-wise to it, and I can adjust the width at any time. Okay, that's layouts on here. And let's look at some of our color rules. If we look at buttons going across the top here, this is color rules. And you can design your own rules. So I have a rule where it says, if zip code is empty, then color the entire row. So let me turn that rule on. And I can quickly see, well, I have a blank record right at the top, so of course that's going to be empty. But I don't have a zip code here. I don't have a zip code on these fields. So it's giving you instantaneous feedback in here. And you can turn on multiple color rules. So you can say, okay, I got a couple New York Cities on the line and things like that. On these color rules, you can go a little bit further. Say, let's just turn these off. Zip code is empty. So zip code is empty. This saying color the entire row. So as you can see, it's coloring the entire row. But if I go back here, I can say zip code is empty and only color one of the columns. So I can just say, just use the zip code column field, and see now it just applies it there. So that might be very useful when you have multiple conditions on here and you don't want everything to be, too colorized for you. That's color rules. Over here at the top, there's a couple other things we don't need to get into. Attached to a parent, open parent. That happens more when you're on a custom table. Run math functions. So if you have math functions set up, you can say, oh, I have a specific math function I want to run against all these records. You have your export, which is just that. What's cool about the export too is we have a color rule here. The export also handles the color rule. So I'm just going to export to an Excel file. And there's the Excel file open up. And you can see the color rule was even applied into the Excel file. Microsoft Word is our next icon. And that's if you want to merge together documents. So I can select, Jim Walker, and I want to send him an ACC invite. But say I wanted to select more than one. So say if I had these, I guess there's about 12 of them there, and I want to send them all invites, by selecting multiples here, 17 I selected. Down here it says row 1 of 17. So I'm going to send out emails with this template to 17 contacts at one time. Very useful, very helpful. All right? So that's that. New contact, that's what I want to create a new contact. And then these are kind of lookups, right? That's what that icon. Look up all 201 records, or look up advanced. Brings forward acts criteria builder. And I can sit inside here. It's the same as going to look up advanced query. And then you can build a query. So act latitude field contains data and 173 in here. Actually, let's just do this. It does not contain data and preview it. So there's 28. And if I said, I like this rule, and I say, okay, do you want to save it? Not data, I'll call it at the moment. Save it and replace the lookup. So there's the 28 that matched. Now here, let's scoot down to the bottom because this all ties together. This is your color rules, same as it was up here. This shows you your color rules, and you can turn on and off at will the color rules. You can right-click, select all of them, or select none of them. But right here to the left of that, we have the lookup. Remember, we just created a lookup called not data. Well, here it is in the list. In NativeAct, in order to do something like that, to change the lookup, you'd have to go to lookup, advanced query, file, open. Here's my status one. I open it up. I say okay. I say replace, and I have the lookup in place. So that's like 8 keystrokes away. Well, we put all those files that you saved right here in the list. So if I just double click on it and says replace the lookup, there's my 28. In fact, let's make this a little bit taller. It actually shows me that I have 28 in here. I have this one called New Contacts. I'm going to right-click on it. And 4. So there's 4 that were found. Now, I can manage these underneath here. I don't have to go into the Act menu system. If I say Manage, there they are. We can manage them, and I can just say Edit that lookup. That's the one lookup. And what was the one? Not data. Edit this lookup, and Act latitude does not contain data. So they're all inside of here. One thing that's cool is if you do, like, I want to apply the lookup for not data, I can also say, if you do the lookup for not data, open the Friday layout. Remember, I changed layouts earlier. So these are all tied together. And let's go to status and say I want to use the impact one. So again, if I say okay to this, neat side effect. Notice the way they all have dates on them now. Sorry, not dates. They all have totals on them now. As you come in and out of this manage, it'll update the totals for you. So what I say, not data. So if I click on not data, replace the lookup, and you see, it went to my Friday report layout. If I come back to the status one, it came back to the impact layout. So you can design lookups, have them right at your fingertips, and have different layouts or column sets in there. So maybe again, that not data is something that I do on a Friday report, and I say, okay, I'm going to run my not data, or I'm going to run my new clients were created in the last week, or opportunities are greater than $10,000, whatever you want to do in the criteria lookup, but you're going to have it all tied together like that. Okay, and if you want to just go back to all, I mean, Act as a lookup all. We keep all here at the top menu also. All right, let's look at these 4 panels here. We have these 4 panels. We're going to start over here on the far left. What is the date range? Well, it's just that. Created date, show me all the records that were created today. Well, nothing. All the records created in the past. Well, of course, everybody was created in the past, so the future would be kind of useless because it weren't created in the future. But the reason why these are all available on here is that right here, the created date, there's a drop down here. And this drop down shows you all of your date fields in your contact table, all the custom date fields or whatever. So I have actually a date field called subscription. So if I say subscription, give me all the subscriptions that are due today. Well, nobody's due today. Give me all the ones that are due in the past. Oh, there are 8 records. Give me all the ones that are due in the future. Oh, nobody's due in the future. But I have the past one. So you can actually change that and say, oh, I want to know when did they first purchase it? So there's 2 that are first purchased. Birth dates. I want today in the next 30 days. Birth dates. Anniversary dates. Again, any date field in your edit date, like oh, I clicked on here. Which records were edited today? Oh, well, in Cadbury, we had a record edited today. How many records were edited yesterday or today and the last 7 days? That's still only 1, William Cadbury. Okay, so that, again, just look at your date fields, create a date, and I'm just going to go back to all dates and just say all, there's all my records. Now, one thing you may have noticed, when I was looking at this in the past, you notice why when I clicked on that, the background went yellow. That's by design. What that's telling you, the end user, it's just like a color rule. It's telling you that you have a filter applied today and the last 90 days. And there's 3 records in here. So if I was actually to leave the contact list, right, and I'm working on opportunities or on my calendar, and I come back to my contact list and say, hey, there's only 3 of them here. Why is that? I can say, well, there's a yellow applied down here, so I have a filter on. And of course, I can just go to all dates and turn it back on. Or if I just click on the all again at the top, it'll take off all the filters at the bottom. All right, that's the date range. Very useful, very powerful. Which one I've seen people do with? Oh, like on the task list. Show me all the tasks that were edited today, not the ones that were people pushed out for 7 days in a row. How many tasks were actually created today versus scheduled for today? Things like that. Okay, the next one is users. So we have a user list here. Now, if I right-click on here, I could say, select none, or I can right-click and say select all. But let's just turn off. Right, so I turn off Jim Durkin or Chris Hoffman in here, and there's 13 records applied. All right. So again, I can turn on and off at will. Now, if your list, say, takes a long time to refresh, one of the things is if you hold down the Control key, see, I'm holding down the Control key. You can't see it, but I'm holding down the Control key, and I'm doing like a multiple select. Once I'm done selecting, if I take off the Control key, it'll refresh for us. So that's a quick little trick. Also, under this select all, these are users. If you're using teams, like I have underneath here, what's it, schedule, manage, where's manage teams? Oh, geez, I can't even remember where the manage teams are. team stuff in this database. And I know that by going here to say select team. I have a team called cleaning, one called installation, one called power wash team. So it's like a window, power wash installation company. So if I say, well, I just want to look at everybody in the team cleaning, you see it turned on those 4 users that are in the team cleaning. I want to see my power wash team. Now again, this is a contact list. This would be really powerful if you were on your task list and say, hey, give me all the activities for the team cleaning today in the next 7 days. All that can be done right from here, right from the list view. In fact, let's go to the task list and select team installation, and today and in the next 7 days. So they don't have anything scheduled. Select team power wash. I don't think I have anything scheduled in the future in here. Let's just say today in the last 180 days. Oh, there you go. Today in the last 90 days, 30 days. There you go. So we got some data in here. So I can say, show me today in the last 30 days of my activities for my installation team, right? Or my cleaning team. And you can see how quickly you're garnishing information from the list view. See, inside of ACT, what they want you to do is the list view is just a stepping off stone. I'm going to click the enhance button. So inside the list, they just try to give you the information as quickly as possible. Then you go in and you make a decision based on drilling down into the actual contact record. Great, brilliant. Every CRM program is like that. But what's different about Impact is that in our enhanced mode, we give you the ability to make decisions based on colorizations, users selecting, and things like that. Let me go back to the Impact list, right? And I'm just going to right click and say select all, so I know all my teams are on. The last 2 sections, say none. These are fields in your ACT database that have a pick list attached to them. Meaning that if I went into here and I went into referred by, you see you have a pick list. Or if I went into ID status, you have a pick list. City has a pick list. Address does not. Address 1 or 2 does not. So these kind of city, state, zips have a pick list attached to it. So down here, if we click on it, this is a list of all your fields in your current contact table with a pick list on it, all your custom fields and everything else like that. So I'm going to go down to ID status field. So there is the pick list that I have built inside of ACT. And I'm going to right click and say select none. And I just want my employees, my friends and family here. So there's those 3 selected. If I say select none, maybe I want to find my prospects, resellers, retailers, and suppliers. So there they are. So again, this is ID status. I can have 2 of these on at one time. I may want to find everybody ID status that's in California. So let's go to here, down arrow, and I'm going to select the state. Oh, I had it already pre-selected one, so select all. So I have my prospects ID status, and I'm going to go here and say select none, and I want just those in California. So you see what I'm doing here? We're data mining. We're not just using a list for you. Like, that's great. Again, you know you have 190 because it's up here, 190 that match the condition that you put in, but you forget what condition it is. And I want to work with this client to go back and forth, and I want to drill in, and I want to say, oh, I also want my leads, or I also want my investors in this group. Well, we don't have any leads or investors. Let's try vendor. No more vendors. Again, I'm just trying to turn some stuff on here. There you go. So I finally had a customer in here. See, the list is changing as I'm changing it. So again, I can come back in here and say, well, I want all my customers. Let's just say select none. I want to find all my customers in California, Arizona, and Arkansas. There you go. So I can do that quickly. Again, in native ACT, in order to start doing this type of data mining, you'd be going back into the lookup, advanced query, And then you'd be adding, state equals this on state. I'm not going to be able to do this. This is fast. State contains, California, right? So then I have to add that to the list. And I have to do it again. State equals, state contains, Arizona. Add to the list. I can keep doing this over and over. I can say, okay, I want to save it. I want to say it's my favorite states. I give it a list and say, no matching. Because I said and, this has to be an or. And say, okay, and save the current query, replace it. Now, how do I change it? I just want to see California versus this back and forth. So as you can see, it's not very easy to go back. And to go back, you'd have to go to lookups and then go to advanced query, file, open this. And I call it my favorite states. And then I have to come into here and edit it. Blah, blah. You get the idea how many clicks away that is. Where right here, I can just say, select none. I want all my customers in California and Arizona back quickly. So that's why this filtering panel at the bottom, once people start to use it and start to understand it and its power, what it can do for you. It's almost like a reporting tool. We have our own reporting tool. ImpactAct has a very powerful reporting tool. ACT has a powerful reporting tool. Some people use Microsoft Power BI. Great reporting tool. But this is just a simple little reporting tool where we can quickly filter and look at information. In fact, let's take this a step further. Let's just say select all. Because it's yellow, we know it's on, so select all. We can do a little bit more with this list view. I have the list at the top here, and maybe I wanted to report this to a pivot or a chart or something like that. I can go over here to options, and I can say show chart. Here's my chart at the top. I designed a chart. Admin assistance analysis buyers and CEO, and I have one buyer and two CEOs. This chart, I have multiple charts here. Let's just say by country. Country's a little thin. Let's just say prospect, lead, resellers. These are charts that you can come along and edit. So I want different information. I'm not going to get into details of this, but I can create a chart right here, and I can get into a very heavy chart wizard and set up left pane. Again, charts are, there's 101 things we can do in a chart. So that's a chart right at the top, and that's a chart, again, that is editable. But I also have here in charts, let's say show charts, let's turn on a pivot table. Show pivot. So here's my pivot table inside of here, and this is showing, let's see, let's go into design. The city, this is data area, and then when it was created, April, May, June, July, and who the record managers are, right? So that's what that chart is giving us at the moment. And again, this is a pivot table. There's a lot of things you can do in a pivot table, but this is just a quick little let's see. But what's nice about having like this pivot table up here, right, is that, or even the chart, say select none. See, our pivot table is bound to the data in the chart. So if I say I want to see all my customers, there's all my customers. I can say, Jim recorded 1 in May and 13 in July, so a grand total of 14. And let's just turn on contractors, and what do we have? We have prospects and resellers and things like that. So, Allison in May recorded one of those, and so we have the totals in here. So as you can see, select none, select all these. This chart is influenced by the data in the list view. And in fact, the lookups. Let's just go to the not data one, and let's just go and use that ACT lookup. So all these records were done by Jim Durkin in July. Let's go to this latitude one. There we go. There's some more data. So now I have 173 records. And you can see that Melissa put them in on this date, Allison made a couple of them in here. But again, the point of what I'm showing you here is that this charting view, let's go to options, let's turn on the chart. So we can have a chart and a pivot table. And the pivot tables, like let's just look at this pivot table. That's got a lot of data in. Let's go back to this one. I can have a chart and a pivot table. I just create a new chart, and we'll call it my demo chart. And we'll say edit the chart and create a date. We want the count. Let's do the sums, scale. I say okay, and we want to create a series. And I want to create a series by contact ID status. And I want all my prospects, resellers, retail buyer vendors. So again, I'm just doing this very quickly. And so now you can see that we have prospects, resellers, any data. Let me just say that. I just did that very quickly by using the ID status field. But it could be any data that's in here. Year, I want it down by the quarter. Okay, that's going to break it down further. But so I can now have that inside of here, and I can say, well, look up all the records. Right now we have all the records in here. I can say, just look up. I have a birth date field in here. I don't know what that does. I think that we have a birth date in the record manager. Here's one that says they're outside the U.S. So I can quickly look at my data. So now, you know, you call this a dashboard. Some people do. But again, what we're doing is presenting you with a lot of information here that you can make a decision tree on without having to run a report or design something. So let's just go in here, options. I'm going to turn off the pivot table. I'm going to turn off the chart. And there we are back to the native, or I'll call it the native Impact. When Impact is installed, this is what it's going to show you. And again, this is the contact list. Let's just jump over to, I have a custom table called mortgages. And here I have the same thing. I have mortgages created date. Oh, the date the mortgage was dispersed. Today and everybody in the future. Today in the last 7 days. Created date. We have users. DD. What's DD? I don't know what that is. A drop down, I guess. But I don't have any data in there. So there it is. So again, all dates, color rules, everything else is the same. So this is we're back in the contact list. All right, I want to thank everybody for attending today. And again, I'll package this. It'll be up on the website in the next 24 hours. But again, thank you all for showing up.